Hey guys, so today's episode comes at the request of many of you who wanted to know more about this hashtag, Justice for Hyunseob. It's about a 17-year-old high school student who leaped off a building at his school to his death in a suicide because of consistent, ongoing bullying. And at first, I was shocked that it was yet another case of a young man here in Korea where it's being alleged that other young men at the same school were treating him badly to the point where something happened mysteriously, where his life ended, and where it's also being accused that the parents are trying to cover up this situation so that the accused students don't have to suffer any repercussions, in collusion with the school and authorities who also want to protect their reputation or have some other skin in the game. So does this sound familiar? Does this sound familiar at all? And so I'm thinking yes, this is an epidemic. We all know that this has been going on for a long time, but perhaps we are being told that we really need to focus a little bit more on this type of case because the parents of the Son Jung-min case and also now the Lee Hyun-seop case are doing what parents before have not done. They have been a lot more open. They have been using their social media platforms. Son Jung-min's father has been using his blog on Naver. Lee Hyun-seop's parents have been using Instagram until they were able to get the attention of mainstream media. At first, nobody wanted to touch this for some strange reason. And eventually, some major networks covered it. And so at first, I was also reluctant because I was like, I don't know, what if this is fake news or, who knows? Anybody can post anything on Instagram. And the first Instagram post was this very sad letter, the last letter that Lee Hyun-seop wrote to his friends about how he was in such pain. And we'll go into it, but essentially he was crying out for help. And of course, those kind of letters, anybody can write a letter, and I'm always suspicious about everything. But that was another instance where people were, in this case the parents again, were not able to get help from the people who were supposed to protect their children. The mother went to the school officials. They did everything the way that they were supposed to do. You know what the teacher said? I think you might be a little bit sensitive. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. If it was a woman, it would probably be, I think you might be a little bit sensitive. And you know what this person would have said if she was a woman? Well, you're going to have to get a recording of the student that is bullying your kid. Or if it was a guy, I'd be I think you're just being sensitive. I think you're going to have to get me a recording then of your son being bullied. Give me proof of these accusations. Already, that's a red flag because essentially you are seeing an instance where the mother is being gaslit, minimized, and it probably means that bullier's parents give him much more in gifts every year because in Korea they still have that kind of culture. Anyhow, so we're going to get into this. This was, I guess, a little bit more of a longer intro because this is pissing me off. Okay, so where is this school? You're probably wondering. And they are going to great lengths to protect the identity of this school and yet not. Don't you love how they do this? They're like, oh, there's this school, and we're basically going to pinpoint almost exactly where it is and almost cover exactly the sign, but not really. It's a foreign school, foreign language school, and the reason why they are in a tough spot And I think the reason why they're really trying to protect the reputation, and probably why this school is probably acting a little bit more on edge, and if you could maybe understand it from their perspective, why they would be more risk-taking in saying there was no bullying here, there's absolutely no connection to bullying and this suicide. Well, these foreign language schools have been under attack, where essentially the liberal wing of the Democratic Party wants to eliminate them, and they have been on a campaign to get rid of these foreign language schools. These foreign language schools are, I believe, semi-public. So these are like boarding schools, some of them you, I think, go daytimes, but this one in particular is in Gangwon province, and essentially it's like a private school education, a private boarding school education, where you also get integrated English language classes. So it's essentially like elite. So almost like you're sending your kid to like Andover or Exeter of Korea, but I also still believe it is run by the government, or still has some sort of government funding. So it's not like super expensive. And so you have to apply to get into this. So once you're in, you sort of have like a taxpayer funded elite course into a fast track way to succeed in society. So people who are of the mindset of like, this is not fair. It's not fair. You have a built-in advantage. You're going to get into like a top-notch school, and then boom, you're already set for life. If you go to one of these high schools. So people have been wanting to dismantle this. So in the past few years, just the word, this foreign language school, has been kind of like a hot political item. So that's probably why they're a little bit antsy, or they could just be like that in general. But you could kind of see like why they would be hypersensitive to their reputation. On the other hand, what they have been doing to this victim's family is egregious. To not say that there was any connection to bullying, and then for that teacher to respond in that manner, is egregious, especially now that we've seen clear video evidence. So obviously, we have seen how sweet of a boy Hyunseob looks. And I guess you can't always tell from a picture. I'm always super suspicious of everybody, because, you could always be tricked, like this kid who, maybe the victim could have been the bully himself or whatnot. But you can obviously tell that this is a sweet kid who had been relentlessly bullied. Why? Because we have video evidence. And how did we get this video evidence? In the most heartbreaking manner. And it points to the shamelessness of some of the behavior that this uncovered. So right before the funeral, while this investigation is going on, while the school is even saying still there is no connection to bullying and his death, a different mother of somebody else at the school, apparently has some videos of a bullying incident from a year ago. And she notices that one of the pallbearers, like the person who like carries the coffin, one of the kids is on one of these bullying videos. And she was just like, okay, all right, I gotta go to Hyunseob's mom and basically show her this video and say like, I don't think, one of the bullies should be carrying the coffin at the funeral of your son. And so she gave the video to Hyunseob's mom. And so that's why we have this evidence of direct bullying from a year ago. This video essentially was of choking. And it was disgustingly like perverted. Like it was just a bunch of guys. Like the guys were like almost like they were just sitting around hanging out, like having coffee or something. And one guy was choking Hyunseob. And he was saying like, okay, well, let me know, like, before you pass out, okay? And then just like choking him. And then when Hyunseob was saying like I'm choking, he's like, stop trying to pretend, okay? And then he was just like choking. This thing was like such a heartless thing to watch and shocking. So obviously there was physical abuse that they enjoyed videotaping. So you see, like, there's also that kind of psychopathic element where they probably wanted to document this kind of act and videotape it so that they could probably replay it. So that was a year ago. Now, what happened right before the suicide? Well, there was a cyberbullying campaign that essentially, it sounded like it was basically organized and about to launch, and he had gotten wind of it. And so it is essentially outlined in this letter. And so let's take a look at what this letter to his friends says. How could you guys not see that I'm just pretending to be okay? I haven't eaten anything since Saturday. Yo, I can't even look up at the sky because I want to cry every time I look up. No one wants to make eye contact with me, and it looks like the rumor is just going to spread and there's nothing I can do to stop it. So what else can I do but pretend that everything is okay? I really want to kill myself. Cutting myself, it's fine as long as the cuts are in places where it can be covered. I'm okay when I'm hanging out with you guys, but I'm worried you might also get attacked. I'm not doing good. Help me. So he really was in a place where he was reaching out for help. And, if you've ever been in this kind of place where there is injustice and you feel like there is nowhere for you to turn, it is not necessarily because of the incredible strength of the bully. It's essentially because the institution around you has failed and you are isolated. There is nowhere for him to turn. It is not necessarily the strength of the bully, and we all know that bullies are weak. It's essentially the surroundings. And this is actually the point that the parents are making and bringing up, that the institution had failed. And this couldn't be a clearer example. Whenever you see this kind of a situation, you really have to turn and see, all right, whose side is everybody on? It's not necessarily like how strong is Goliath versus David. It's more of like, who is the crowd? Who is the judges, magistrates? Who are the laws? Who are like the support team? Who are they behind? Because if they're behind the evil power, then obviously that's where it's going to go. No matter how strong any of the opponents are, the bully will of course think like, oh yeah, I'm winning because it's my own thing. But it's really wherever the side the people are on. However, the people, if you're going to be tricked by a bully, then that's also on you. That's also your responsibility in society to not be tricked by a bully, because the bully will trick you into thinking that you have to follow the bully because they're so strong, right? So the people probably at this school are more often than not probably impressed. I'm thinking if this is a bully, the parents are probably also bullies, and they might have some sort of titles or some sort of bling bling in society, and they probably are good at showering gifts here and there. offering some sort of promised rewards here and there, and making all sorts of enticements that if they cover or protect or treat their kids or their sons here and there, and so they will align themselves with the bully. And so I am sure that this Hyunseob also knew that that was the game that was going on and that he had nowhere to turn. And even his friends, he probably, when you so clear from this note that he probably didn't even want to rock the boat with his friends, because that was like the last safe place that he had, and he didn't want to really, burden them too much, so he had to also pretend everything was okay. And then also, when you are in this situation where they have the bullies have the upper hand of even the truth, even though that they're basically lying, but they get to control what is true, the only thing that he can do, like he said, is pretend everything is okay, because that's the only card that you have left to play, in the sense that, well, if I don't react, then that's the only thing that could create doubt against what the bully is saying. If you kind of react and if you try to refute, then you're basically just playing into the bully's hand, and everyone's going to believe the bully. And so that also creates a situation, though. What he's saying, though, is that comes at a great mental cost that he can probably, at this point, only relieve through cutting himself. And so at this point, it is way too late. And what the bully would probably do is just say, like, oh gosh, he probably had mental problems because, he's cutting himself and stuff like that. Like, yeah, of course he's going to jump and kill himself because he's cutting himself. But at that point, it is too late. And because now we have this physical video evidence of bullying, we know that this has been going on for a very long time, and for it to have gotten to a choking point where they were filming it, that means that long before that point, it had already started psychologically. There had already been points where they had closed in and were able to create the parameters and ability to get other people to accept the bullying, because it's not just being able to corner in on Hyunseob, it's also getting everybody around in the community to agree and say yes. So whenever somebody is being bullied, everybody in that room, the community, whether you want to accept it or believe it or not, you guys are also complicit. You guys are also culpable. You are. Everybody in that dorm, everybody in that school, everybody, even the janitor, okay? Because janitors know everything, okay? Yeah, janitors know everything that goes on. And you can know a lot about somebody from their trash, okay? So everybody in that school, in some sort of level, basically what I'm saying is that the bullies are really good at trying to get the clearance, the acceptance of more than just the victim. So just don't think it's just kind of like that one-on-one. So the mother has also gone to the official petition website of the president of South Korea on the Blue House. So if you put a request up there and you get enough signatures, the presidential office has to respond in some format. Sometimes it's just kind of BS. It's just like, oh, we'll look into it or something. But it is a way to bring national attention to some issue, and it's got about 300,000 signatures so far. So again, this is another national case, another national trigger point. What are we doing to our kids? What are we doing to each other? And why are we accepting the fact that we're going to allow ourselves to have these systems to cover it up? It doesn't allow us to be safe. You cover this up, pretty soon, sometime, there's going to be a situation where you're going to be on the short end of a cover-up. you're gonna be the one that gets burned by a cover-up. You may not even be directly burned by a cover-up, but a cover-up to directly save one guy's butt, just to save one guy's butt in a cover-up, destroys so many other people's lives. So just know that it comes with a lot of radiation. Okay, I don't know if you want to be here for this or not, but let's just put a little bit of sass on top of this, just to sprinkle it out, just to bring it home, because let's just give one little message to the bullies and their parents, because I am shocked sometimes at how confident some of these bullies are and their parents. The fact that just because they're the bullies, they think that they are the strongest people in the equation. What makes you think that you're not going to ever bully somebody that might be more psycho than you? What makes you think that one of these days you're not going to come across rattling somebody that actually might even be more crazy than you are? Or the way that they are doing this nowadays, what makes you think, and this is totally unpredictable, that when they post on Instagram, when they post on their blog, that they are not bringing up some sort of emotions from somebody crazier than you are? Okay? You know, there's some crazy people in general, but one time I was shocked at how crazy some people can be with their emotions. And you know, like I like to get emotional, but I couldn't even understand the logic of one person I've heard. They said like, yeah, I treated her badly because she looked like some girl I hated in junior high. I'm like, what? Like, she just looks like she's not the girl. Like, maybe I could understand that, like, you still hold a grudge against somebody from junior high, but she is not that person. She just looked like her. But there are people like that. There are people like that who do this. So what makes you think that you may not remind somebody that bullied them in a similar manner, may have choked them, may have started a digital online smear campaign against them? Oh, they blurred out this foreign language schools. But what makes you think that they're not going to find out who the teacher is who said this? What makes you think that they're not going to find out who the students are, who the parents are, and look up where they are? What makes you think that they aren't people who are crazier than you are? And I just only say that in Korea, at least it's a little bit safer, because I've heard also another Korean YouTuber say like, well, you know, this kind of stuff won't happen in a gun-toting nation. Like, you know, it's like, in the United States, doesn't happen that way, because you try to pull something like this, pop, pop, pop. And I know, like, you know, gun violence is not something to joke about. And I personally do not like guns. But after living in Korea and then, you know, seeing the gun violence and the debate from afar, I think there's one thing that is missing from the debate over in the United States. So don't you think that perhaps if somebody's kid died from school bullying, that there wouldn't have been, in the past, a crazy father come with a gun to the dormitory, mow down a whole generation of kids, and have that story as a legend being retold every single time the new school year starts, where every father tells their son, look, kid, get along with everybody, because remember, in 1972, that crazy father came with a gun and you want to make sure that you get along with all these boys, if something happens, you don't be the bully and you don't let anybody else bully you. If something happens, call me. And then that father is also like probably looking up at all the other fathers being like, hey, hi, how you doing? Yeah, you know what? We should go hunting together. And yeah, you know, what kind of guns do you have? You know? It changes things. But since we don't have that kind of system here, nobody is held accountable. And so people think that they can get away with anything. And so we don't have that level of accountability at that level. We have administrators that get bought, paid off, and they align with people that they think that they're going to get rewards from. They think that they're going to get some sort of prize at the end for aligning with these people that might give them some sort of privileges. And so there's no mid-level accountability or long-term accountability. However, administrators, not that this might be the case, but it certainly seems like if the school says that there was no bullying connected with this case, and we have video evidence of bullying, horrible bullying, of strangulation, and also a digital footprint of cyberbullying, and yet you still say that there is no evidence, perhaps you may be swayed by some sort of remuneration or promises. But how much do you think you can trust those promises? Let's just say, I mean, you think you're going to get a big payout? Because if you don't, what if they go back on their word? Where's the after service center? Where's the warranty? And it's not as if it's a legal contract. And not only that, not only can they not pay you or give you what's promised, they can probably hold it against you and use it as a threat. So not only did you do something that you shouldn't have for them, they'll threaten you with it. So you don't want to be that idiot and do it, but you probably already did. So this is the problem here. You guys already probably let a real psychopath or a bunch of psychopaths into the school. And if it's already gotten to this point where this type of behavior has been going on, where strangulation has been going on, and they were brazen enough to film it, and a mother has been sitting on it for a year and only decided to give it to the mother of the victim days before a funeral, that means that there are a lot of complicit people that have been keeping their mouths shut. And unfortunately, what that probably means is that this presence has probably degraded the institution. I'm sorry to say, but these types of psychopaths, even though they may promise the world and they have some sort of bling bling, they will degrade the school. A lot of these students probably are not getting into the schools that they hoped that they were going to get into. They probably did not score as high on tests as they wanted to because there were probably distractions everywhere. There were probably teachers who did not fulfill their obligations everywhere because there were always some sort of dysfunctional chaos because of these psychopaths. Too many moving parts, deceptions, and lies to cover up for these psychopaths. Of course, this is all fictional because we don't even know where this school is, right? And also, there was no bullying, right? So right now, there's still an investigation going on, and they need to look into it because it's still unclear whether there's any connection. Parents are just trying to do their best to try to bring attention to this case and not let this one also get swept under the rug. So I'll put the Instagram link in the description. You guys can check it out. And also just comment below and put in your ideas of what this family can do to really try to keep hope alive, and just, send them your wishes and warm greetings from around the world. All right, guys. See you next time. Bye.
Tune in next time. don't forget to subscribe. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Love you.